Anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Authorities identified an 18-year-old trans woman as a suspect after the Tumbler Ridge school shooting killed 8 people, injured many others, with no motive found.
Trump limited White House dinner invitations, excluding the only gay governor and the only black governor. In response, the National Governors Association canceled its formal meeting with Trump.
Indiana BMV bans transgender residents from updating their license with gender markers, even with documentation.
Fortune 500 participation dropped sharply in HRC CEI, but many companies have maintained or expanded LGBTQ protections, benefits, and inclusive workplace policies.
Lesbian Jewish Democrat Becca Balint exited a House hearing after clashing with Attorney General Pam Bondi over Jeffrey Epstein files, transparency, and anti-Semitic remarks.
All this important LGBTQ plus news and more this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily news television show, broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 11 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the Rainbow family. There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, February 12th. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ plus evening news show.
Hotspots magazine Happening Out television network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community. Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network. Hotspots Happening Out is the proud beneficiary of the 2026 Florida AIDS Walk, standing strong by our healthcare pillar. Funds raised are matched dollar for dollar in support of our HIV policy reform and education programs, including our MSM conference. We invite you to donate and join us on March 21st to walk in support of the Hotspots Happening Out teams.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 11,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine, events, television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this very table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Brian Bender. Brian is a lifelong South Floridian, Broward County teacher, community volunteer, and leader, and on the Education Advisory Board for Fort Lauderdale. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to be here again at this table, sharing the little bit that I know with the community.
Awesome. And I hear that SAVE with the Trans Inclusive Group has an event coming up.
Yeah, so the Trans Inclusive Group, or SAVE, Safeguarding American Values for Everyone, SAVE, LGBTQ, is having an event, and I have it right here. It's Friday, February 20th from 7 to 9 p.m. at UNCS, UNCS, at 1471 Northeast 26th Street, where we're all going to be mingling, we're going to be mixing, networking, having some cocktails, and really enjoying each other's company. So I hope you all can join us. It's going to be on, I didn't say, or I think I might have, February 20th, and that is a Friday. So if you're in the Wilton Manors or Fort Lauderdale area, we really do look forward to seeing you there, and stop on by.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Now let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resource, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, what do you not do, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, Valentine's fun with Dannaquin's Kissing Booth Bash will be on February 14th. Tell me, what's happening out?
Absolutely, Rex. Executive producer Dana Davis and I have been busy at Marriott's Mary Productions, showcasing Dannaquin, the mannequin, favorite bars, restaurants, lounges, and sampling some of the best cuisine in South Florida right now in Wilton Manors. Check out our video showcase, and you may recognize some of the amazing folks in our background. Well, it's been a pleasure. One of the things that our executive producer and I have been working on with an amazing cast of folks who've, sat in as customers, as well as the restaurateurs and bar owners, have showcased their lovely establishments. We encourage you to look at it. It's on most major media. You can also check out our relatively new website at marriott'smaryproductions.com. So I encourage you to take a look. This is also leading up with the Valentine's theme, showcasing these lovely establishments in town. Our event coming up on this Valentine's Day at 6 o'clock at the Pub on the Drive.
I am so excited for that because I hear there's going to be a kissing booth there, and I hear we're going to have Dannaquin, who is absolutely stunning. She's sitting with us now at the table, but there's also some very stunning bartenders there, and I hear they're very good kissing material. So I might just make an appearance just to get a few kisses.
Please do. We encourage them. Please bring your friends. It's going to be an amazing event.
We don't encourage you to sexually harass the staff at the pub, kids. Remember that.
Don't
But
do that.
I want to know, Dannaquin, will you tell us anything about yourself by chance? Where are you from?
Well, I have to tell you, first of all, thank you so much for having me because this is my debut, my television debut, and I'm so happy to be with all of you. Well, I have a lot of history. I am a proud fiberglass woman that completely supports the LGBTQ plus community. I am from Sheeman's Markups, and I made my great escape thanks to one of my favorite roommates, Tran Fan, which I'm living with now in Wilton Manors, and I plan on taking over.
Well, I love that Dannaquin's here and she's ready to take over the scene. We need some new blood to shake up some things. So, girl, I might just have to pass on the crown to you.
And may I just say, you look like the youngest thing on the drive in years.
Absolutely. I don't talk about my age, but I am ageless.
Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Dannaquin's Kissing Booth Bash on February 14th. And now let's bring in my brother with definitely an opinion, Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thank you. I love being here, but I always want to remind people whenever there's something important going on that, people remember Valentine's Day is this Saturday, that's 2/14, and people sometimes forget how much it affects tip workers and the restaurant industry, and 2/13, the day before, is a day that a lot of people need to remember, because 2/13, what's that also? That's been the federal tipped wage since 1991 or 30-something years. Those kids haven't gone a raise. So remember that, kids. Tip your waiters and waitresses. Make sure to tell your lawmakers to raise their wages. Tell the federal government to do their job. And when people ask, is this a queer issue? Yes, and it's not. For once, it wasn't my research on this. The group that found out that the largest employer of LGBTQ people is the restaurant industry, the Human Rights Campaign. Look at me saying something nice about the Human Rights Campaign for what the research they did. It's a big deal. Who knew that waiters and waitresses, so many of them were queer? Was that news to any of you, or is it like water's wet?
Water's pretty wet to me. Yes. Thanks for letting us know officially.
Yes.
Now let's welcome our guest, the most fabulous Dannaquin, voiced by the also more fabulous Dana Davis, co-founder of It's Mary Productions with trans sister and best friend Candace Kane, is a versatile storyteller, and producer known for her humor, creativity, and advocacy, crafting authentic, diverse works from her vibrant life in Wilton Manors. We welcome Dana to the show and introduce you to her fabulous cohort, Dannaquin.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. You know, the Dannaquin series that we created and wrote is so much fun. And the best thing about it is that we get to incorporate our local LGBTQ plus people to be a part of the production. And that includes being a producer, acting, directing, everything. And, you know, I've lived in Wilton Manors for 20 years now, and I'm so proud of that. And I've seen the gay-volution of Wilton Manors, and this is where I want to be. And so helping all these people within the arts is so much fun. I feel so grateful. But don't let Dannaquin fool you. She's a nightmare roommate. She is a nightmare roommate. I mean, I can't get into it now. She's very happy to be here, as she said. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad we have both of these fabulously fashionable people here with us today.
And of course, we have the incomparable. Let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Rex Rogosch. Rex is a visionary designer with over 30 years of experience in product design, interior design, and architecture. He performs in the drag community as International Lords and is the current reigning Mr. Scandals 2026. Rex is the president and co-founder of Lantera, a 501c3 organization dedicated to advancing mental health awareness through inclusive, community-driven events. Let's welcome to the show, Rex.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here, and I cannot wait to start leaking some tidbits of information. Lantera is putting together its next event, the Come As You Are Prom, and this year it's the Speakeasy. And so I can't really say much about it yet because, you know, the coppers are going to shut us down, but I hope each and every one of you are at this table or at the event. It's going to be May 2nd and at 7 p.m. So check us out on our Instagram and our website, lanterafl.org, for more information.
I'm looking forward to it. I was there last year. Last year it was 80s theme, wasn't it?
Flashback to the 80s,
It was, and it was like a flashback, you know, the best way possible. I had a great time. It was funny too, because that was the first night I met you, and there was a little bit of a mishap. There was something spilled all over the floor. You looked like a deer in headlights because you were holding a punch bowl or something.
Yeah, I might have spilled an entire punch bowl on the dance floor. It was a little warm in there, so I figured, you know, we needed a little bit of cooling off.
Right.
So I just kind of splattered all over two drag queens who were sitting at the bar. So yeah, let's not.
You froze there for a second, and I thought, oh no. I think he feels so bad about this, but he shouldn't, because it was art. It was really a good moment.
We grabbed towels and made it into a conga line.
It was.
I love the Speakeasy time period, so that's exciting. Can you tell us, if you didn't mention before, where the venue will be?
Yeah, it can't, because it's a Speakeasy. So if you purchase your tickets, the Speakeasy address will be revealed.
I see.
Seeing a theme
Got to be in it.
And I'm not even a detective.
I also love that it's on May 2nd, because, you know, May 1st is like International Labor Day. So, like, you know, you can get your strike on May 1st, and then the next day you can get a cocktail at Lantera. I love it.
At Prohibition, exactly.
And May 4th is May the 4th be with you. So it's like there's so many things you can do.
And then there's Cinco de Mayo.
We have our whole first week of May planned out.
Wow.
You're welcome.
This is great. Thank you for that. That's a lot of fun.
Dannaquin already knows where it's at.
We might have to talk after the show, Dannaquin.
No, she would never tell.
Really? I understand.
Lips are sealed.
Mannequin, okay.
I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up the world news. Mass shooting at school devastates Tumbler Ridge community. Canadian authorities have identified the suspect in the mass shooting that left at least 8 people dead in Tumbler Ridge as 18-year-old trans woman Jessie Van Rootseller. Police say 1 adult educator and 5 students aged 12 to 13 were found dead at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. At least 25 others were injured. Van Rootseller's mother and stepbrother were also found dead at the family home. Investigators believe they were shot prior to the attack at the school. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Van Rootseller was a former student who dropped out 4 years ago. She began her social transition 6 years ago. Authorities say she was found deceased in the school library, where most victims were located. An RCMP spokesman said local police had visited the suspect's home multiple times over several years, including for mental health assessments. Firearms were also the subject of at least one call to the family's home. Soon after the shooting was reported at 1:20 p.m. Pacific Time, police issued an alert for a female in a dress with brown hair. Authorities say they have not found a note or identified a motive behind the shooting. Tumbler Ridge Secondary School serves about 175 students in a remote community of roughly 2,400 residents. Officials say this is tied as the third deadliest mass shooting in Canada. First, I hate saying our thoughts and prayers, but our thoughts and prayers do go out, and our condolences to the community at large, both of the victims and their neighbors and their families and friends, because this is going to affect that entire community. I also want to put on this that this shooting cannot and should not be blamed on somebody who is trans. That has nothing to do with it. This shooter, unfortunately, had something in their life that went wrong, and unfortunately had access to firearms, unfortunately did not get the mental health care that they needed, which we have talked about all the time. It had nothing, I'm going to say this, it had nothing to do with the fact that they were trans. They could have been anybody. They could have been male, female, black, white, trans, straight.
Two things can be true at once. You could be a transgendered person and also be somebody who commits a crime like this.
Absolutely, but with everything that's going on against the trans community, I don't want that to be the sticking point. And so that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. This is a tragedy, and the fact that she was trans should have nothing to do with the fact that this was a tragic shooting.
Absolutely. I think that we can hold complexity in our mind here at this table because we're all very educated.
We can.
I think that, by and large, communities, especially here in the United States of America, have a lot of trouble with nuance. And I think that that's unfortunate that it plays into a narrative of transgendered people having some mental illness and then going out and committing shootings, because there's always these right-wing pundits, conspiracy theorists that always say, oh, it's the transgendered people that are doing, X, Y, and Z. And now they've started pinning murdering and mass shootings on them. They're always trying to find a link between a killer and them being transgendered. But like I said, two things can be true at once. You can be a person who commits a mass murder and also be transgender.
Absolutely.
But they're not linked together. It's one didn't cause the other.
There's a few things on that. Well, first, gun violence is not always a mental health issue. Mass shootings are not always a mental health issue.
That is true.
I have no idea if we're talking about a mental health issue in this shooting. I have no idea if we're talking about someone who was pushed to a breaking point. Sure. I know that killing 5 small children is never appropriate under any circumstance, and it's horrific, and it should be condemned. This is something that is worthy of condemnation. Now, when it comes to all the trans mass shooters out there, I do think we have to look at the data. And in the United States, they did do some of the data polling. They looked at from 2013 to 2025. They found 5,748 shootings. Do you want to know how many of them were trans? 5.
Oh.
5 whole. I'm sorry,
we're back to the 1%. We're back to the 1%. 1%.
Yeah. Not even 1%. Like a point. Something percent. To the idea to try and have the right use this against our community is absolutely insulting and disgusting. And they know they're scum when they try to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I will point out that they did the police did say that they did go to the residents for mental health check-ins. So, I hate to assume things, but I am going to at least assume that there were, I should say were because she's deceased, unfortunately, some mental health issues there. The fact that somebody allowed this child to drop out of school at 14 years old, there's a problem there too. So yes, unfortunately, this is a multi-layered thing. Yes, let's condemn the fact that I
get concerned of I want to make sure it get investigated first. That's all I'm saying.
No, I 100%.
Yeah, the statistical chances of this being a mental health incident is very high. But
correct.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just so traumatized by CNN using wild speculation and whenever a mass shooting happens that I just am overly cautious.
Look,
and that's a good.
It is correct. And the fact is that this should be condemned. Period. Doesn't matter. Like I said, doesn't matter who did it. It should be condemned. However, we keep talking about mass shootings on this platform, and we keep seeing mass shootings, and we keep saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people. It's a combination of both. You are correct. Not every mass shooting is due to a mental health illness. It's somebody decided they were going to shoot somebody. However, I will say, as somebody who advocates for mental health, I just don't wake up one day and say I'm not born saying, I'm going to shoot somebody. That's behavior that is from somewhere. And so we really do need to start looking at the root of this. And we're talking now about somebody who's from a very small city, very small town, it's not even a city, 2,400 people. I mean, that's less than the high school that I graduated from.
Well, it's in Canada too. It might as well be called Schitt's Creek. You know, that's where that show was filmed, was in northern Canada, I think more on the east side. And not to get off the point, I do want to say that it's unfortunate. It's a terrible tragedy that happened. But you do notice a difference in the way that they described her. You know, they put out a call for a woman, a girl in a dress. Whereas if this were to have happened in the United States, they would have said a boy, and then they would have listed the name of they would have listed her name before she transitioned, and they would have made it a whole spectacle. And I like that it hasn't been,
absolutely,
from what I see, it hasn't been turned into a spectacle.
Well, and I think, you know, as we've talked about on earlier shows, I think Canada has shown a greater amount of support without cuts to mental health hotlines and things like we've seen in the U.S.
Yes.
But probably not to the same degree.
And I know when you're talking about it from mental health, you don't mean it this way, but like I'm always thinking about what the nasty right thing. Mental health issues does not equal potential violence.
Agreed.
Either. Like people with a mental health issue are more likely to be harmed by our society and have violence inflicted on them than they are to inflict on our society.
Absolutely.
That's something we should always mention if we're going to talk about that. Right. I don't know if anyone else here wants to comment, maybe quote someone.
Dannaquin?
No. Okay.
Her lips are sealed.
I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up politics. Trump excludes gay and black governors from White House dinner. President Donald Trump has limited invitations to a traditional White House dinner during the National Governors Association winter gathering scheduled in Washington, D.C. from February 19th to the 21st. The decision excludes Democratic governors, including Colorado Governor Jared Polis and Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Polis, the only out gay governor, and Moore, the nation's only black governor and NGA vice chair, were left off the guest list. Oh, so sorry about that. I didn't want to go there anyway. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the move, saying Trump has discretion to invite anyone he wants to the White House. It's the people's house. It's also the president's home. So he can invite whomever he wants to dinners and events here at the White House. A spokesperson for Polis told The Advocate, Governor Polis and other governors are focused on delivering results for our states, not playing games. Governor Polis does welcome recommendations for popular local restaurants now that he and other Democratic governors may have a little free evening to explore the best D.C. has to offer. In response to these limited invitations, the National Governors Association said it will no longer hold the formal meeting with Trump. 18 Democratic governors also announced a boycott of the dinner. Well, I just want to say, you know, as I was reading that, I want to say good. I wouldn't want to be invited to a place like that anyway. He has really befouled and besmirched. I'm making these words up. I hope that they're kind of correct sounding. He has totally dirtied up that White House, and to go there and to be in the same room with that orange guy who is unconstitutionally trampling people's rights, who has his ICE brigades out in full force, taking people out of their homes, separating children from their families, putting people in detention in third countries. I could go on, and to be invited and to have Donald Trump ramble on and on about his Nobel Prize that was given to him, to talk about, you know, all the things that he did to bring down inflation, to make everything affordable again. Things are going so great. Things are going so well in this. I can't do his voice so well, but I think everybody could hear it in their own minds. It's not a good time had by all. Trust me. I'm sure there are people that wished that they had been disinvited because they didn't want to go themselves. So I just have to say that it's not the worst thing that could happen to be not invited, but it really does suck that it's a person who is gay and a black man who is a governor. So that's icky.
Trump was just afraid that, you know, they'd be able to make hard hats and tuxedos look the best because, you know, we're going to be having this dinner in a construction zone in the first place.
Yes.
And the fact that, you know, the Democratic, the Governors Association is led by a Republican governor, says volumes, if not shouts volumes, that are going, okay, look, you either invite all of us or you invite none of us. And I actually hope that more of the governors decide not to go, and they all, go to, Chili's down the street.
Yes, stand them up. Yeah.
Well, I'll say for Governor Polis looking for recommendations, since he's a fellow gay man and the former gay DC resident.
Exactly.
Go get a drink at Trader Number 9, girl, on P. It's always a fun time over there. Or just go over to Dick Bar, also known as DuPont Italian Kitchen.
Oh.
Is the food great? No, but the company's good and it's all cheap. So
Or the happy hour at Fox and Hound.
Now, right, I will also say two other things. One, it is the traditional norm to invite all the governors to this thing, in case that hasn't, for those that haven't figured that out. That's a normal thing. But also, I have a little critique of how LGBTQ media has been portraying the story, as he specifically didn't invite the black person and the queer person, when he didn't invite any of the Democrats. And I say that because a few years ago, at the task force, I had to host the Not the White House holiday party because he specifically did not invite April Ryan, a black woman, and the only LGBTQ member of the press corps from Bay Windows. And he had actually done that sort of stuff in the past, and is a little separate from that.
And those would have been the people I would have wanted to party with anyway, so it's ridiculous.
And then a big issue is, taking our tax dollars and making people who support the Democratic Party and trying to make it less partisan. This should be a nonpartisan event. And
it's the people.
It is a nonpartisan.
But it
should be. Our country should have been.
It is a nonpartisan, but unfortunately, he's making it partisan.
Exactly.
Well, absolutely. So. Donald Trump doesn't know what decorum is if it hit him over the head twice.
And I hope people continue to see what he's doing and wake up.
Well, they keep seeing, but it's with rose-colored glasses.
Thoughts and prayers, girl.
So thoughts and prayers.
I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up trans rights. Indiana blocks gender marker updates on IDs. Indiana has banned transgender residents from correcting the gender markers on their driver's licenses. Advocate reports that the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles quietly added a notice to its website on Monday, stating it will no longer allow gender changes on state credentials, even with legal or medical documentation. The update reads, quote, "Gender change rule update. Effective February 12th, 2026, the BMV will no longer provide customers with the option to change their gender on their Indiana credential by using a court-ordered gender change or physician statement per amended Rule 140, Indiana Administrative Code, Section 7113, end quote. Indiana has enacted several policies affecting transgender residents in recent years. In 2025, Governor Mike Braun signed an executive order halting gender marker updates on birth certificates, which the ACLU challenged in court. Earlier actions ended the X-gender marker option and restricted gender-affirming care for minors. The Movement Advancement Project says only Texas, Tennessee, and Florida have fully prohibited gender marker updates on state IDs, but now they have to add Indiana to the list. Indiana Youth Group condemned the move. Well, it's just another move in the wrong direction. I think, we need to fight the fight, continue to let our thoughts be known during elections, and, certainly.
I was talking to my production partner and best friend and sister, legendary Miss Candace King. We were talking about this very subject today. I mean, how can we not? And, we were just saying it's really just another way to distract people from the real issues out there, like the cost of living and the corruption of the right. In time, the future, this period in American history will look back with disgrace.
I mean, I can't agree more. I also just, if the state is going right against the court order, then why don't we all just stop abiding the law? I mean, at this point, it's lawless. I mean, we've got states, refusing to adhere to court orders. We have the president refusing to abide by court orders. So, I mean, honestly, you're right. This is just another deflection.
It's just a way to
It's
distract
a distraction
from the real issues
Right.
that are going on. That,
Right.
You know, spaghetti sauce is $9 now. Like, I cannot buy spaghetti sauce. I
That's
can't afford
very.
it. And the corporations that are doing this are just greedier and greedier and greedier, and they don't care.
Agreed.
And they just want one day for people to be rich
Right.
or poor.
Well, I just want to say, first off, Dannaquin should probably join me as a card-carrying member of DSA with loving all the understanding of how the far right uses discrimination against queer people
Yes.
and black people and women as a way to get around the economic
Yes.
injustice in our
Yes.
society. That's a huge, huge
Sure.
issue. The other thing you're talking about, Rex, like, unfortunately, yes, the rule of law has turned into a myth at this point.
Absolutely.
It is
It's up for
absolutely
debate.
balls crazy silly what this is happening. And it's a mix of both the far right doing this to us, but also like, the judicial system has really failed on so many levels on this, on dealing with
Absolutely.
Yes.
we love throwing people. America loves to throw people in prison, and for some reason we're not throwing these people
Right.
that are just openly defying the courts all the time.
And while not being able to get your gender markers also creates a whole thing of havoc, and people showing up presenting female and it says male on there, or vice versa, and they're getting double looked at, and they're like, oh, this is a fake ID. Like, there's so many other things that the slippery slope we have talked about.
Yes.
This is just opens up. It doesn't open a small door. It doesn't open a floodgate. It literally pushes the wall down for craziness. But I really need to, people to really look at the fact that you now have government agencies ignoring court orders and rule of law. That is, I think, even more troubling than anything, because, like we just said, there is no more rule of law. So where does that stop? Where do we turn?
It's very, very scary.
That is
and
the scariest thing to me.
yeah, and gay men went through this decades ago to fight, and this is where we are now as trans, so, we need all the allies we can get, and we definitely need our gay brothers, and, nobody has to understand anything 100,000%.
Agreed.
Just be a human and have some humanity. And listen, I've never met a trans girl I didn't like, okay? Like, sweet, humble, artistic, lovely, kind, always helping. I mean, come on, what are people so scared of? Like, just to get to know us a little bit.
Right. And like I said, this is again, I hate to say this, but this is a slippery slope. We're talking about the 1% of the population that's getting demonized and demoralized, but where does it stop? Women, unfortunately, or men who we get married and we change our name, and we get divorced and we can't change our name back. Like, there's so many things that this is going to set precedents for.
Right.
Yes.
Well, let's think for a second. We've just seen data as Dannaquin. This fiberglass mannequin has shown more humanity
Yes.
than the average Republican. Let's just let that sink in for a second.
Yes.
Well, and on a lighter note, I'm glad that Indiana was not on my bucket list of destinations I wanted to travel to anytime soon, and I don't think in the future either.
Yeah.
It's not really calling me. So
We have to take our LGBT dollars and let the country and the world see where we spend.
Absolutely. And I feel like I say this every time when I'm at the table, but when we talk about these horrible policies and, the lawlessness that we see from the other side of the aisle, I don't want to say that it's all Republicans. I don't want to say that it's all of every group. I don't want to make super generalizations, but if you're a MAGA person, I feel as though it is really, the cruelty is the point. And it's cruel to deny people their gender markers. It sounds like a small thing, but it's not, because if you get pulled over by the police, like Rex was saying, if you get pulled over by the police, or if for a simple something where you need to show your identification and it doesn't match up with how you're presenting yourself, that's when you open yourself to violence. You open yourself up to more scrutiny. People think that your ID is fake. There is just, and that's what they want. The cruelty is the point. They want to embarrass
it's
people.
bullying. It's like back
bullying.
to high school.
Yes,
it's back
Dannaquin.
to the, but I want to say something to all my young LGBTQ plus and my trans sisters and brothers. You're magical. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you, no matter what anyone says. Find your tribe and hang tight. Help is on the way.
Preach, Dannaquin, preach.
Preach.
Yes.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up business. More than half of Fortune 500 abandoned HRC LGBTQ survey. More than half of Fortune 500 companies dropped out of a major LGBTQ plus workplace survey this year, even as many maintained or expanded inclusive policies. The Human Rights Campaign's annual Corporate Equality Index, or CEI, elevates non-discrimination policies, equitable benefits, inclusive workplace culture, and corporate social responsibility. In its 2026 report, HRC recorded a 65% drop in Fortune 500 participation from 377 companies to just 131. HRC noted that many companies exiting the survey hold federal contracts. However, the silver lining is that despite the decline in reporting, HRC's year-over-year analysis found that implementation of CEI measures was sustained or increased, with no declines across any criteria. Several large companies, including Tractor Supply, Ford, Lowe's, and Walmart, publicly walked back DEI efforts during the 2024 presidential campaign and early in the president's second term, and did not participate in the latest index. HRC emphasized that not reporting does not necessarily mean initiatives have stopped. Overall, 1,450 companies participated in the 2026 CEI. Of those, 534 earned a perfect score of 100, representing nearly 6 million U.S. employees. HRC research shows companies with transparent, queer, inclusive policies average net incomes more than 8 times higher than their peers. Well, you know, it's always nice to see the LGBTQ world, when they constantly are looking for support from corporations, fall flat on their face, as HRC did once again. You know, HRC's staff has heard my rantings on this more than once. That one, their scorecard doesn't in any way take place workers' perspectives or union or labor perspective. That's a huge problem with these things. But also just like, I want to remind everybody, like, HRC is trying to walk this back. Like, oh, well, they have federal contracts. If you're a little firm with 2 or 3 contracts and the government is one of them, okay, I can understand where you come from. We're talking about the Fortune 500. These are not itty-bitty companies. Some of the Fortune 500 include things like OpenAI and the big chip company, NVIDIA, and all those big super companies. Like, this is absolutely appalling, and I'd like to remind people that for a Fortune 5 company to say, oh, well, our federal contracts mean more than the LGBTQ community, think about how little we matter. And think about how the Human Rights Campaign, also known as the Champagne Society, as far as I'm concerned, how much they think we should grovel for them to just answer a survey that doesn't even include worker perspectives. So that's my first thought. The last thing I'll say is, HRC is like, well, they 6 million workers in these 500-something companies that all got 100% scores. Talk about handing out participation trophies. 6 million, that represents less than 3.5% of the American labor force, just so we're all aware. But you can all tell me how much you love capitalism now.
Come on, really
right.
feel.
Well, I mean,
so reserved.
I know.
I mean,
That was
for me,
gorgeous.
well,
work, gorgeous.
Thank you, Dannaquin.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, you know, these surveys they're pointless, right? So what? A company did not fill out their little paperwork to let them know that they're, you know, not firing gay people. You have a point there. You know, actions speak louder than words. You know, a lot of these companies, you know, have a little bit more on their plate to deal with rather than filling out somebody's survey. Just because, like they said, just because the company didn't fill out the survey doesn't mean that they are doing something bad. And so I think that, you know, we want to villainize somebody for not doing something that HRC, you know, is putting out there. HRC, you know, as far as I'm concerned, is a made-up organization. Somebody decided we needed it, and you know, quite honestly, they have done. They have done good in the past. But as you said, to me, the HRC has gotten to be basically, give me your money and I'll give you a sticker. And
I have a few of those
very fair to
stickers,
ask,
though.
what has the Human Rights Campaign done legislatively over 40 years of being an organization? I say that as someone who's been part of plenty of organizations where we don't always pass much, but like you at least have a rough idea. I think HRC is they've allowed us to get killed for our country. Hooray.
Oh my goodness, I feel like we're having multiple mic drop moments here.
I know, right?
All I know is that I have an HRC sticker on my laptop, which I guess I should take off.
no, look,
thanks.
the idea of HRC is
looks
definitely
nice.
the idea of HRC as an organization is needed, 100%. Human rights needs advocates because there are people out there that cannot advocate for themselves. So the need for it there. Is this organization as 100% as it should be? No. Do sending out surveys in general, not just HRC, but from any organization, really matter in the grand scheme of things? Sort of. It may or may not give us some sort of insight into what's going on into our world. What matters is what we do with the data. What matters is how we act to the data. Anybody can call you up and say, do you support X, Y, or Z? Are you gay? Are you this? Are you that? But if that data goes nowhere, which is unfortunately what usually happens, we just report on the data and this is what happens, but nobody takes action on it. And so that's where I think Alex is saying that we fall short, especially with the HRC. They have data. They're crying that people are pulling out from doing their survey. But once they get that data, what are they doing with it, and how are they enacting or helping pass legislation or talking to organizations or talking to Fortune 500 companies to say, hey, you shouldn't do this or you should do that?
The only thing I'll say is, yes, filling out a survey, but it's not that hard for a big company. They've done it for years. That being said, the fact that HRC allows the company to do this and doesn't actually do the actual
Regulate
work of
it.
talking to people and researching it. Like when I work, people know I work in restaurant research stuff. There are sometimes we'll talk to a restaurant owner, but if we're worried that the restaurant owner is doing bad things, we don't ask the restaurant owner, are you doing bad things? We would talk to the workers. You would talk to the labor representatives. You would look at their website and see what they do. There's other way that HRC can determine this.
It's like grading your own paper.
I think as a society, we've really been captured by corporatism. And it sounds like, they are trying to really appease, their corporate overlords, like we all are. It's just, whether we like it or not, we use Netflix, we shop it. What does Jeff Bezos own? He owns
everything.
Everything. Yes. Amazon. All these things. It's we want to be able to live these comfortable lives,
Yes.
and people want to be able to draw their incomes. I'm not saying anybody's wrong for needing to live in this society. Until there's a better way of doing things that everybody can agree on. We gotta, we have to play by certain rules.
If HRC offered me a check, I'd cash it. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they'd ever talk.
I did not get that from you, from what you said, but yes.
Especially after that.
Someone's got to survive in capitalism, girl. You can't have the revolution on no money.
Absolutely. So what I'm saying is, it's just that, we all, learn the lane that we need to be in, and they've learned what lane seems to work for them. And you get these people that have reactions about hearing HRC being brought up because they don't feel like they do much. And all I could say is do better, please, for our community. We need you in these times. Not just being pretty, not just, collecting money for stickers, all of that, but really, doing some work. So we implore you to do better.
I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up the USA View. Out Jewish lawmaker Becca Balint walks out after Bondi's anti-Semitism remark. A House Judiciary Committee hearing with Attorney General Pam Bondi turned chaotic on Wednesday, ending with lesbian Vermont Democrat Becca Balint walking out after a heated exchange over the Justice Department's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Tensions had been building for hours as Democrats accused Bondi of deflecting questions and avoiding direct answers about whether powerful officials named in newly released Epstein materials had been scrutinized. The Republicans defended Bondi, calling Democratic criticism political theater. As Balint's questioning period ended, the exchange intensified. Bondi accused the Congresswoman of contributing to what she called an, quote, anti-Semitic culture, end quote, prompting an emotional response from Balint, who is Jewish and out lesbian. Balint cut in sharply saying, quote, oh, really? Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust, end quote. Shortly after, Balint stood and exited from the hearing room. Earlier in the proceedings, Democrats had pressed Bondi on whether officials whose names have surfaced in connection with Epstein, including Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, Navy Secretary John Phelan, and Deputy Defense Secretary Stephen Feinberg, had been questioned. Bondi declined to offer a direct yes or no answer, saying some individuals had addressed those ties themselves. The clash capped a day marked by sharp partisan divisions, as lawmakers also pointed to survivors seated behind Bondi and renewed calls for transparency, accountability, and direct engagement from the Justice Department. I mean, can we just call her Wonder Woman? Deflect, deflect, deflect? I mean, honestly, that's, that's all this administration does, is deflect. Nobody answers a question directly. And I get criticized for this all the time. I am a yes or no person. You ask me a question, I am going to give you the answer. You may not like that answer, but I'm going to give you an answer. And the deflections, they are looking for information. So ask a question, give an answer. It's a tit for tat. You can't be deflective. Put aside anything else, that is going to really cause problems because we're not getting the answers that we need.
Right. And we're absolutely not getting that. And
lies.
Dannaquin,
And lies.
Right.
Lies.
Not telling the truth is a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie. It's a non-truth.
Omitting the truth is a lie.
Exactly.
It's a non-truth. It's not even that's their thinking. It's
right.
They don't think that they're lying. After you've lied so much, you don't know what's true and what's not. And to call everything anti-Semitic, I just want to say, as a Jewish person sitting here at this table, just because you comment on something, or just because Israel isn't part of this in this moment, but just because you comment on something that you don't like about a foreign government doing something doesn't mean that it's anti-Semitic. Just because you're bringing up something about Jeffrey Epstein, who also happens to be Jewish, does not mean that you're being anti-Semitic. What you're being is anti-Jeffrey Epstein because he was a convicted predator. I'm not sure his exact crimes, I know what they are, but I don't know how they're listed on the filing documents, but he's a bad man. So calling him a bad man and asking questions about his behavior and the behavior of others doesn't contribute to a climate of anti-Semitism. What it does is it contributes to a climate of accountability. And I think that is what we are so sorely missing. I was watching, I don't watch Newsmax, please viewers, I'm not that person, but I did hear commentary that somebody from Newsmax, who is a paid shill of the MAGA Republicans, actually said, ooh, this is really bad for us. That was a career-ending move, what she did, grandstanding the whole time at that hearing, and just tit for tat, and having I think she had a book of like a slam book, like you would get like in middle school, like your mom is so fat, she plays pool with the stars.
Outrageous things to members of Congress.
I mean, it's just it would be laughable if it wasn't so disgusting, and also so indicative of the times that we're living.
And you mentioned this isn't about Israel. So Pam Bondi, the full quote, she was interrupted. She was about to say that the Congresswoman hadn't voted for something. And I think we all suspect it had some sort of resolution, either something about Israel, about defining anti-Semitism that includes any criticism of Israel, something of that nature. And this is actually a big problem we're seeing right now with all the anti-Semitism of trying to force Jewish Americans to toe a certain line of our government's foreign policy, or they're somehow not supportive of the United States and our war on people in Gaza. It is absolutely disgusting to see that. Pam Bondi has been part of this sort of anti-Semitism for a long time. We need to call it out for what it was, this was an attempt on attacking a Jewish member of Congress for not supporting Israel or whatever else that Pam Bondi was saying at the moment, and it's disgusting. And I've met via Zoom this Congresswoman when she was the Speaker of the House of Vermont. Incredibly patient woman. So for her to have to snap right back at Pam Bondi just shows how outrageous this was. And she was saying things against Congressman Nadler's claiming he didn't have a real law degree or something. Another Jewish member of Congress. She also went after a third member
who had cancer.
He's from Maryland, but she was saying, I can't remember if he was Jewish or not, but she was starting to have her own pattern of targeting Jewish members of Congress herself. I'm like, maybe the pot is calling the kettle black, or as I like to say, maybe the feather boa is calling the rainbow flag queer.
That's funny.
I mean, we said it. I think you said it very well. As just because you happen to be either some sort of faith, some color, some gender, that doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that is in your particular culture. So if a Jewish person doesn't agree with what is happening with Palestine or something, that doesn't mean they're anti-Semitic. And again, we keep seeing this over and over again. We've talked about it in other stories. We're talking about people who happen to be something. They happen to, it's part of their, I always say, I'm not your gay friend, I am your friend who happens to be gay.
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we keep saying the Jewish congressman, the black governor, no, they are a congressman or congresswoman, they are a governor who happens to be Jewish, who happens to be black.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So the fact that we keep turning all of these adjectives and parts of ourselves into weapons is just despicable. Let's just call people people and have conversations, answer the questions that you are being asked, and stop targeting people because of a certain marker that happens to be part of them.
Yes, and let's not forget, the people that tend to get arrested at a pro-Palestine protest, a lot of Jewish people. A lot of Jewish people are the ones that get arrested supporting Palestinians.
We were raised with a certain consciousness.
Well, that's what my next point was, like, who has helped give America's liberal thought a conscience? And it has been the Jewish community for decades, along with the black community. Both groups have done that, and they both have noticed a lot of atrocities that have happened in Gaza and in other places around the world. Sadly, too many things that I'm starting to see here remind me of what I've seen over there. And people forget that. They have tried to speak out, and when they speak out, they are punished, and people like Pam Bondi are the ones punishing them.
And on just, I want to maybe just add this, that she was actually, there was a lot of contention around her appointment as Attorney General because she was a paid lobbyist for Qatar, who is actually considered not really a friend of the United States. It's all a very, very mysterious world that we're living in terms of these political alliances and, people using one group against another. It's like one day, it's like everybody's being anti-Semitic, and then the next day it's like you can be anti-Semitic yourself. It just depends on which way the political winds are blowing. And I think all people that have, any, positive thoughts in their own minds should know that it's not okay to group one group of people together and call them a monolith. No group is a monolith.
Agreed.
Just like we were talking about transgendered people, not all of them are going to go out and commit horrible crimes, but there could be one in a group that does something. Just like with Jewish people, not every Jewish person supports a foreign government that commits atrocities against others. It's just not how that works, and we don't all think the same. So
the politics hokey pokey. Let's turn ourselves around. LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. New Hotspots magazine issue shares everything about the Florida Renaissance Festival. Our Hotspots Happening Out LGBTQ lifestyle magazine, Hotspots, is back with a feature on the 34th annual Florida Renaissance Festival at Quiet Waters Park. Running through March 29th, the festival promises nights, music, comedy, and immersive 16th century adventure. Festival producers Bobby Rodriguez says, quote, whether feasting on turkey legs, cheering for jousting nights, shopping artisan crafts, or mingling with mystical characters, visitors can expect a whimsical escape where history and fantasy collides, end quote. Admission details and highlights are included in the feature too. This feature story and many more are included in your free copy of Hotspots magazine, which is already on stands. I can't wait to get on my chainmail and my crowns. I'm already ready.
It sounds like a fun event. I know many years ago, when I was in college, I had a friend who belonged to the Society for Creative Anachronisms. So I went on a Renaissance.
Creative what?
Creative
Anachronisms.
Anachronism. I feel like I need to be educated on this.
Well, at the time, going back a number of years, it was just sort of bringing something from the past to the present.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so.
That's very cool.
I mean, we should learn from the past.
Yes.
And so that we are not doomed to repeat it.
That's right.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up lesbian and queer women. New Dream Team takes over the Dinah. The Dinah, the iconic queer women's event in Palm Springs, has new owners. Bella Barkow and Rose Garcia, longtime team members, have acquired the festival through Bella Rose Productions. The Dinah returns September 30th through October 4th at the Hilton Palm Springs and Hotel Zozo. Organizers promise the signature pool parties and entertainment, with the lineup arriving in June. I just have to say, it looks wonderful. It looks fabulous. It's all women though. So, it's not for me, obviously. I get it. Not everything has to be about me. but no men at all. It just wouldn't be fun for me, unfortunately.
I mean, I like the fact that it is the basically equivalent of the lesbian circuit party, because so many lesbian spaces have been disappearing in the United States and around the world. Yeah. So I'm glad to see that the party is back and that it gives a safe space for our lesbian sisters.
Yeah, and Dannaquin already booked her ticket. She will be there.
I love
it. I can't wait to see pictures on your Instagram spread.
But to Floridians, if you've never been to Palm Springs, you don't know, they call it a dry heat, and you're like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. To us Floridians, like, dry heat sounds an amazing idea to try one of these days.
It's a different sensation.
It's a wonderful sensation.
Yes. I love
humidity.
Yeah.
I hear you don't know that you're dehydrated until you're fainting.
No.
It's not true.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up lesbian and queer women. Did Doechii quietly come out as lesbian? Well, did Doechii just come out as a lesbian? The Grammy Award rapper, long open about identifying as bisexual, has fans buzzing after a subtle change to her lifestyle Instagram account at Guts Grit Glamour. The bio now includes the word, quote, lesbian, reading home life, wellness, books, essays, clubbing, lesbian, luxury, travel, beauty, music, side quests, fashion, more. The account appears new with just 4 posts. She has not publicly addressed the update. So folks, what have you seen the buzz about her now adding lesbian to her account?
This is the first I've ever heard of her. No offense to her. It's nice to see another celebrity doing something on Instagram. They're always doing weird stuff. That being said, like, if she's lesbian, that's awesome. If she's just a celebrity trying to use queer identity markers and she changes them to suit her like ability to make money, that's a little bit more problematic. So
I mean, Doechii is the hit girl right now. This is a new account. It has been verified, so it doesn't mean it's hers.
Doesn't have a check mark.
Doesn't have a check mark. But look, she has been open about being bisexual, so she's already part of the queer community and she's already been open about it. So if she's now in a relationship or in the lesbian mood or persuasion now, congratulations.
We wish her well.
Absolutely.
We wish her well.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Queer TV love beyond heated rivalry. If you've already chosen the perfect queer love song on Valentine's Day and the perfect movie, complete your pop culture trifecta with a romantic queer TV show. Looking beyond heated rivalry, standout picks include Schitt's Creek, Dickinson, and Our Flag Means Death. From heartfelt laughs to swoon-worthy moments, each series delivers humor, emotion, and unforgettable LGBTQ love stories. Perfect for a cozy Valentine's binge. Which one's on your watch list this Valentine's Day? Well, I can tell you my Valentine's list was more likely to be something like the Queer as Folk UK version. I'm not into the US version. Oh. And maybe Heartstoppers, or actually, I already watched it. I consider this a queer love story. Agatha All Along.
I think
fun one.
I think most
right?
gay men.
What about you guys?
I think most gay men will be watching something from Treasure Island.
Oh, okay.
Don't. If you're under age, you can't Google that, children. Don't Google that. Danica, what are you gonna look at?
Dannaquin's always looking for anything hockey.
Ooh. Well, maybe you will watch Heated Rivalry.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up entertainment. Kit Connor's bold new look stuns fans. Kit Connor turned heads at Elton John's epic dinner party, appearing almost unrecognizable. Heartstopper fame, this 21-year-old debuted a thick beard and mustache in a photo shared by the Rocket Man hitmaker. Fans reacted instantly. One account commented, quote, "Wait, Kit? I didn't even recognize him," end quote. Another joked, quote, "The barification of Kit," end quote. Guests at the party include Russell Tovey, Andrew Scott, David Furnish, Kadiff Kerwin, and Jake Shears. I mean, look, he's gotten older, and we all change as we get older, so...
I don't. I get Botox.
Whoa. I need to do a fact check here. Looking at the men.
I don't agree.
Some of the handsome men, the kid is like 23. They're the handsome man on there who's like 40-something, and he looks more put together than Kit. Kit's going through some sort of messy, I think I need to look ugly
Look,
thing.
not everybody...
I think he's going to win an Oscar.
Not everybody has good genes or money to have Botox, so let him grow gracefully.
You get a good group on.
He's
let him grow gracefully.
Yeah.
I like dad bods, and he looks like a nice daddy to me.
He's comfortable.
He's comfortable.
Exactly.
So, you know, just let him be.
I'm judging, that's all.
We put so much on, our looks.
That's right.
Body dysmorphia is real. These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, which it should be, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the entire world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and in sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Rex Rogosch, and I thank you for joining us on behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Brian Bender, Larry Farver, and Alex Morash. And we cannot forget the fabulously fashionable Dannaquin,
Oh, thank you.
voiced by Dinah. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ plus world. We wish you a good night